I am going to be recording. So you'll have to be a little patient with me in the first little bit here in case I'm still admitting people and trying to do all that at the same time. So if you have any questions, you'll have to show up because I can't see you. But I'm not going to read any of the chats because then I'll get distracted with the buttons and I know I'll get lost. So either just ask or wait till the end, okay? And I'll go ahead and get started here. Okay, good. All right. Welcome. Nice to know that you're here, even if I don't see you. So welcome to today's encore of Your Body Knows. And it's a workshop that's near and dear to my heart because I've been a chiropractor for 24 years. And I really do believe that our body knows everything that we think and we feel, even if we don't want to acknowledge it. So let me put on my screen here. Okay. All right, so hopefully you can all see that. I'm just pressing buttons, see what happens. Oh, there you go. Nope, I don't like that one. Okay, we'll stay here. So thanks, guys. Okay, so back to, like I said, all right, a little distracted. Hi, Jenny, come on in. I'm just saying I don't see anybody or hear anything, so I'm just trusting that I'm pressing buttons and you can hear me. So, oh, good. Yay. All right. So as a chiropractor for 24 years, I believe that if you don't feel your feelings, your body will feel them for you. And I learned this early on in practice, being able to ask questions of people, patients when they came in about their symptoms, whatever their body was saying. And so one of the questions that I posed to you was, if your body could talk to you, what would it say? And I really want to be able to share with you kind of my journey of how I got here and how I understood what the body, how I started to understand and learn what the body's language is. So this is me, my little self here. You know, I grew up in a really chaotic home. And me back then was a really scared little girl, really confused about the world, just feeling really scared. And these are my parents with my grandmother, my mom's mom, and me there in the bottom. And, you know, our home was a very violent home. My father was an alcoholic and he was very abusive, physically, emotionally, in every way possible. And my mom, to survive, was very emotionally withdrawn and shut down. And I learned from her to do the same. And so being a lot of the feelings at that time, a lot of confusion, I didn't understand, like I love my dad, but the rage that he possessed, and I didn't understand that home environment. And my grandmother there, she was the pillar for me. What I learned in home growing up with a lot of chaos was survival. I learned how to survive. Didn't mean I necessarily did it well, I just had to survive. So my grandmother was everything. She was my pillar. She was my foundation. She knew all my favorite foods, my favorite snacks. I slept in her bed most of the time because sleeping alone, I felt terrified and I felt very safe with her. So my grandmother on my journey, she showed me what stability could look like and feel like. And as the pillar of when I was 11, she passed away unexpectedly. I came home from school And my mom said, oh, grandmommy passed away. And my mom was so withdrawn and just away, not really talking to me, that, you know, I went to my room thinking she would come and console me, and she didn't. And I went to bed that night crying and thought she would come and console me, and she didn't. And the next morning I woke up and I came down for breakfast, and she told me, okay, well, it's time for you to go to school. I'm going to go to work, and didn't say anything else. We never even had a service for my grandmother. For me, life at this time was painful. I was taught to be stoic, put on a happy face. Don't let anybody see anything is wrong. Don't let anybody know anything is going on. And so part of what I learned was how to put on a happy face and how to pretend everything was fine. That summer, my mom sent me to France by myself. And I thought I was going to get to spend the summer with her and my friends. But it was the last day of school, and she said, okay, well, you're going to go to France and you're going to go for the whole summer, and you're going to be with family and my friends. And what I wanted was comfort with her and time with my mom. And I was born and this was in Northern California. So Northern California to Paris, it's about an 11-hour flight. And the flight attendant felt so sorry for me that she gave me all the food and all the snacks and everything that I wanted to help soothe my anxiety or whatever I was feeling, the fear on this flight. And that for me is when some of these seeds were planted, that I could use food to soothe the ache in my heart and soothe any discomfort. And so I didn't know what that would mean, but at the time, food was my friend and my best friend. But then I moved on to high school, and high school was fantastic. High school was great. And by my senior year, I felt really in control of my life. I was very disciplined. I was focused. I was a star athlete. I was academically an all-star. And I was working part-time. So by my senior year, I was a super high achiever, and I was super, super busy, which meant that I had no time to feel or think about any part of my life or any part of the past. Because to me, my childhood was behind me. I had moved on. I was in control of my life and things were good. So childhood didn't matter, or so I thought. So in high school, what I learned was discipline and really how to be in control of my life. After high school, I got into Santa Clara University. If you know Santa Clara, if you don't know Santa Clara, it's part of the same conference as like Pepperdine, St. Mary's, University of San Francisco, San Diego, small private school. And I went there, and man, I did not fit in. So this is me in college, you know, the girls, and we went out to dinner with our dates, and you can see me there in the middle with the red coat. This is really when in college, that inner identity crisis was really starting to surface again, because I wanted so badly to fit in, and I wanted so much to be accepted, and I didn't. I chose a school that my mom wanted me to go to. It wasn't my first choice. I wanted Pepperdine. My mom wanted me at Santa Clara because it was a couple miles from the house. I could live in the dorm, but be close enough to her if she needed anything. And it was really because she had told everybody, oh, I worked so hard. My daughter's going to get my daughter into school, and my daughter's going to be a doctor. And I worked so hard to get her there. And I felt obligated to make my mom happy. And so I chose the school that she wanted and not the one I wanted to go to. And I never really fit in. Part of what the challenge was for me is that I didn't make it on any of the teams. So I didn't play volleyball and I didn't play basketball. I wasn't good enough to make it on the team. But what they did have was a rowing team. And if you know anything about crew and rowing, you don't try out. They just pretty much, it's an open call. Who wants to come over? Who wants to be on the rowing team? And there were like 100 girls. And I was like, gosh, 100 girls. And the coach was like, Don't worry. By the time we get to February in the actual season, we'll be lucky if 20 of you are still here. And the coach was like, we need girls who are disciplined, who are focused, who are committed. And I was like, I can do that. I can do it. I can fit in. I can be disciplined. I know how to do that. So I was on the rowing team. The rowing team, if you know anything about rowing, has a weight class. So there's the open weight and the lightweight boats. And I was right in the middle of the two, where the lightweight boat was the more competitive boat. And that's the one I wanted to be in. And the coach and the teammates, they were like, you're so close. It's totally fine. You just need to diet harder. You need to diet more. Well, remember, I wasn't feeling like I fit in. And for me, food was a way that I soothed myself. So I was eating a lot to fit in and feel comfortable in school and trying to diet. Ultimately, it was an eating disorder that showed up because that's how I could lose the weight and stay at the weight that I needed to be on the team. So really what Santa Clara was for me, but what it got there for me was an addiction. And when I talk about addiction, whether it's in my course or when I'm working with clients, I take a really broad definition. It's any substance or person, place, thing, action, behavior, or thought that is used regularly to avoid, distract, or numb yourself from any uncomfortable feeling. And it sounds really broad, and it is, because it's easy to understand the major addictions, you know, sex or gambling or porn or food and alcohol and drugs. But really, it's understanding the deeper, more subtle. So it could be, you know, using the devices and computers a little bit more. Things like working out, which is healthy and good, but if you're using it too much because you're trying to avoid something or someone, then it still is an addiction. Reading a book is fantastic, but if you're reading to hide and avoid people or places or things, it can also be addiction. Hope that's making sense for you. So ultimately, I flunked out of Santa Clara after my end of my second year. I was too busy being in an addiction mode that I couldn't study and didn't have the focus. And in that time, the hardest feelings to feel were the guilt of letting my mom down and disappointing my mom. It was the shame that I felt of flunking out. And it was the humiliation of cleaning out my dorm room when everybody in the dorms were watching me and wondering why I was leaving. And those three toxic, you know, feelings are so damaging: guilt, shame, and humiliation, that I didn't want to tell my mom, and I didn't want to tell anybody. And really all I did, I ended up working in 3 different restaurants. I was already working in one, but I picked up 2 other jobs so that I could stay busy and tell everybody, well, I'm busy, but I didn't have time to do other things. I moved back home, but because I was busy and my mom didn't know, or she knew, we just didn't talk about anything. So I was trying to hide and avoid it. But ultimately what happened is, you know, and working in restaurants and there's bars and I'm drinking and partying and staying up. And there was a Monday morning where I finally I just didn't want to go to work in the morning. And so I stayed home and I was making coffee, and we had a newspaper delivered to our house, which is called the Metro, which was, if you're from South Bay, it's called the Beach Reporter, but it's like a local magazine that talks about like the movies and the happenings for the week. And we didn't subscribe to this, but it showed up. So I was like, okay, so I'm sitting with my coffee and I'm reading it. And halfway through, there's a page that said Stanford University looking for girls with eating disorders for a 1-year clinical trial. And I started crying and I was like, oh my gosh, this is what I need. I knew I needed help. I just didn't know how to access it. And so really what Stanford gave me was, it really taught me how to say yes to accepting help when I needed it. I knew I needed help. I just didn't know I was going to accept it. So I stayed in that 1-year program and completed it. And it gave me, it didn't heal everything, but it gave me enough treatment to start to kind of get back and moving in life. So I started over, and I was lucky enough and fortunate enough that when I applied, I had enough college credits that when I applied for, I was hired in the police department. And if you see, I'm the fourth one from the left. I know, kind of blending in there. And I was also volunteering on the fire department. And if you look at me, I'm there in the back row, just about center. And both of these jobs I wanted because I felt I could be safe. There were rules to follow. Somebody was telling me exactly what to do, and all I had to do was follow the rules and do what I was told. I had a uniform, so I didn't have to stand out. That success meant don't stand out, be invisible, don't speak out of turn, don't say anything that will rock the boat, and you will succeed. And really what I wanted during this time was financially to be secure for my mom, because it was such a struggle growing up that both of either career, I would have been really good, but it's the financial stability that I wanted. Ultimately, I knew my heart was not in it. And I knew that if I stayed, I would either get hurt or killed, or somebody else would be hurt or killed because of me, because I didn't have the heart to want to do everything at the level that they wanted at that time. So I left, and with humility and being humble enough, I went back to a junior college and took my very first anatomy and physiology class again and started over, because I knew in second grade I wanted to be a doctor. And I thought because I flunked out of college, I was never going to be able to have that dream. So I started with one anatomy and physiology class, and then chemistry, and then ultimately ended up graduating from chiropractic school in '98. And this was my very first office here in the South Bay area. And this was me on a mission trip in Nicaragua. And I knew chiropractic, it provided everything that I wanted. And it gave me the ability to start over. It gave me a chance to really appreciate and understand the human body. And it gave me a life and a career that I love. And really what the junior college and, becoming a chiropractor taught me was really I had to dig deep to a place of finding grit and resilience and the humility to start over and believe in my dreams, even when I had failed out and didn't think it was possible. And during that time, I reconnected with volleyball, and I hadn't played volleyball for probably 10 years. And I forgot how much I loved it. It was one of those days where I was out and they were like, hey, we're just gonna have a beach party, come. And I played, and it was like I was hooked all over again. And volleyball, I haven't stopped playing since. And it's been good to me. I competed, I played in qualifiers all over the world, and played for France, and just had a wonderful career. And I'm so grateful to volleyball, because what volleyball did for me was it forced me to learn how to be an athlete, but also how to, like I studied integrative and functional nutrition. And so really how the body works and nutrition and providing everything that I needed in a healthy way. And I'm so grateful for so much more from volleyball, but that was one of the biggest parts about competing. And at that time, I started my chiropractic office. And really what I got from volleyball and moving to LA and starting a business here was really reconnecting with that inner competitor and my inner drive and the entrepreneur, but in a healthy way, in a way that was sustainable, not just doable for short term or short something, just quick fix. And I even got married. And I love this picture because my mom had made the floral arrangements to look like big volleyballs. They're red roses. But if you can see from my face, it says it all. So I married a man who was very nice, very kind. He just wasn't the love of my life. and I just didn't know how to say no and break it off. And so I married him. And I had this amazing little girl. Most of you know her, you've seen pictures. She's obviously much bigger than that now. And so motherhood really was stepping into motherhood for me. I realized I needed to break the cycles that I grew up in, because I didn't want my daughter to experience those kind of cycles and fear. And I knew I needed to do something differently. But at the time, still learning and still trying to figure it out, my life looked really good, really perfect. I was married, I had an awesome practice, I was playing volleyball, I was traveling the world, I had a daughter, like everything's great, because it looked that way, because that's how I made it look. Well, life happens and things change. And along my journey here, motherhood taught me another depth of health and appreciation for the human body. And as much as I'd like to say, life was fun and easy, it was not. And ultimately, life happens. And I filed for a divorce because my heart said, I can't stay in this marriage. And at the same time, within a short amount of time, I lost my business, I lost all of my savings, I lost all of my money, I lost everything. Really, what I lost that really triggered a sense of depression was I lost my identity as a doctor and as a provider and as an achiever and as an athlete. I lost the visual of being successful. I lost all of that image, was gone, and it left me depressed because I felt like everything that I had created was gone, but the sense of control was also gone. And depression, when I'm working with clients, there are so many layers of depression, but one of the focus that I work on is looking at past events or circumstances or situations, buying into the belief that somehow you could have been better or smarter or stronger or just somehow different at that time, that you could have known how to avoid the painful experience from happening. And the reason that I use this definition is there's a difference between looking to the past and the lessons that we learn and then moving forward. Depression is when you get stuck in the past, when you keep replaying the same scenario, and yet somehow your mind is like, well, if I could have been smarter, then I would have had a different outcome. If I could have been somehow different. So your mind starts to go into like almost a fantasy place of being, alternate endings to your story, or, making things up, but somehow you're stuck in the past and you're not able to move out of it. So I hope that that's making sense about the world of depression that I work on with people. Part of how I got out of depression was with volleyball. So I was playing volleyball one day, and actually it was Martin Luther King, and it was a Monday. And I heard the pop in my knee, and like that gunshot pop, and all four of us heard it, and they had to carry me home. And I had been working and trying so hard to get my life back on track that I wasn't listening to my body. And I thought, even with a knee injury, I was like, okay, I don't know how I'm going to adjust people. I don't know how I'm going to work, but I'll figure it out. And I was like hobbling around. And the next day, my back went out and I couldn't even get out of bed. And my body finally caught up to me, to where my mind had been running around into the future. And anxiety was really why I went from depression to anxiety really quickly within 48 hours. Because anxiety is a sense of terror. Now, you remember, I'm a single mom trying to run a business, and it was failing and I didn't know what to do. Anxiety shows up, and the definition I use for anxiety is consumed by a terrifying belief, whether it's true or not. And then getting stuck in this cycle of trying to preemptively control everything about the future and trying to stop everything from happening. So I hope that's making sense, because for me, the anxiety that showed up was the terror that I thought because I didn't have enough money and I wasn't working and I wasn't sure what was going to happen, that CPS was going to come and take my child from me. Because that's what I was told growing up. Whether it's true or not, I don't know, but that's a belief that I had. I thought CPS will come and take my child from me if I can't pay my bills. And it was that terror that led me to, oh my God, I don't know what to do. And it's important to understand this, because if you're working or talking with somebody and they say they have anxiety, if you understand that there's a belief in there that until they understand what's going on, or you may not understand it, no matter what you say, until this is addressed, is not going to feel helpful. So at that time, one of the things I was really lucky is, lucky coincidences, however you want to say it, is somebody gave me a book called Loyalty to Your Soul. And it was written from two doctors named Ron and Mary Hulnick. And they were the teachers at University of Santa Monica. And after reading that book, I knew I needed to go, because they had the tools, the skills that I needed to learn how to create something different in my life. I was not figuring it out on my own. I needed help. And what USM gave me were the skills of emotional maturity. They gave me the skills on how to take accountability and responsibility for my choices, not from a place of blame, not from a place of shame, but just from a place of understanding how to connect the dots of my life. Because sometimes choices that we make currently are related to 10 years ago, 20 years ago, a lifetime ago. And we don't always know how to see what the driving forces of our choices are. And so that's what I learned at USM. And a lot of for me, it was writing. Some people use music, some people use art. For me, writing was how I was able to really understand how to break those patterns and how to learn new skills. So, thank God for USM. Really what it did is it was the process of 2 years of going through systematically every emotion that I didn't want to feel, every emotion that I had learned to hide and avoid, every single emotion that I never wanted to feel for the 40 years of my life. I was finally having to face them and deal with them. And my body was letting me know that I needed to finally deal with them. And so that's what I was doing. And I was so grateful, because all of that trauma, all of those emotions were being stored in my body. Because even though my mind was saying, oh, whatever, I'm fine, my body was storing it, and my body knew everything that had been going on. So slowly I was able to start the healing process mentally, but also physically with that. And so that's where I start to understand, okay, well, what are the symptoms that your body is telling you to pay attention to? What dis/ease are you feeling? Because yes, it could be pain, but symptoms could be trouble sleeping. It could be digestive issues or headaches, things that may not feel painful, but it's your body letting you know something is off. It's always talking to us. So your job is to start to listen and pay attention. So I'd like to say life was easier from there. And it certainly got better, and I certainly got stronger. I just didn't know how strong until this time in my life. So this is my mom. And in 2017, she was diagnosed with ALS. And it was the hardest 9 months of my entire life. And because of the skills and tools that I learned, I was able to show up every single day and have all of the conversations with my mom that we had never had. I was able to be there for her until the very day that she died, because I no longer felt like these feelings, and it sucked and it was so hard, but I didn't feel the need to run away or drink or do anything to numb myself from it. I was able to sit in all of that pain and show up for my mom and show up for myself and have all of those conversations. And I didn't know what a gift that was until after she passed, because after her service, everybody kept asking me like, oh, are you okay? Are you okay? And there was a sadness that she was gone, but I was okay because I didn't have any regrets. Everything that I wanted to say and wish that she would have shared, we had those conversations. And so I'm so, like, I think about that time and go, wow, I didn't know I was becoming that strong until I had to be that strong. And so, and I got through that. And really what my mom and that time in my life taught me was the gift of acceptance and forgiveness, and also the process of how to grieve. And there's a process to it. And learning that process is by going through it, and doing it the hard way, for sure. So with USM, with all my writing, as I started to get back into life after my mom, I continued the practice of writing and journaling because it was my way to feel everything in current time and not run away from anything. And really, I had to be honest and I had to put everything down on paper. And as I was doing that, I found like, oh, there's some good nuggets of information that I'm writing. So I'm going to save those pieces of paper. And then, of course, saving those pieces of paper, I was like, well, I'll put them in a binder and then I'll type them up and make them look pretty. And then I was like, oh, I'm going to type them and put them in a binder for me, but also for my daughter, because I want her to have, thoughts about me and my story or whatever. And I had shared some of it with a friend and she's like, oh my gosh, you have to put this in a book and publish it. And I was like, hell no, I am not publishing it. I'm not sharing anything. This is for me. It's for my child and no one else. And the more that she spoke and the more that she shared, the more I realized, okay, I'll do it. And I remember the moment where working with the editor and going through that process where I had to press the button of like, do you accept the terms and are you ready, to publish? And I paused and I was like, oh my God, this is it. And what I realized was, oh my gosh, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with my story. I'm okay with my life. I am no longer ashamed of it. And then I went, oh my gosh, okay, well, sure. And I pressed the button and published it a couple years back. And I'm so grateful that I did, because what the book gave me was the courage to be very vulnerable and share everything. And it was the freedom that I got of, I no longer felt that I had secrets that I had to hide. I no longer felt I had secrets that I had to keep and hide from people and hope that nobody found out. I was like, okay, well, yes, I'm a doctor. And yes, I failed out of college, but I found the scenic route to get myself back. And it was a really great feeling of freedom that I didn't realize I was working on until I got there. And then that's where I realized, well, do I want to start a practice over? Do I want a chiropractic office? And I didn't. I wanted to do all of the coaching and workshops and working one-on-one and in groups. And I had all of that lined up and I was working at the YMCA and all these things started to open up because I realized how much I loved it. But what I learned was really having the confidence to be honest. I'll share my story, I'll share my experiences, and that's the trust and the knowledge that allows me to work with people. And it also is what allows me to set boundaries, because I didn't do that the first time in my office. I was working 7 days a week. I would work whenever anybody asked me to, and I had no boundaries. So this time I'm like, I have boundaries and this is what's happening. And it was great. And I was so ready to launch into a whole new world. And well, COVID hit and everything shut down. And when everything shut down, it was a bummer because I was ready to sign a contract with the YMCA, a big contract, and that was gone. And as bummed as I was, I remember just feeling like it's going to be okay. There was a level of trust in my skills and trust that somehow I'll figure it out. And so I recreated my programs, recreated different things and getting ready to do all of that over the time. And what I realized in that time of like going through and fine tuning the courses that I want was there was still one piece that I had to work on that I didn't realize was still there. So growing up for me, I always believed I had to choose one side or the other. I had to choose my mom and her beliefs and the white side of me, or I had to choose with my dad, the black side of me. But I was mad at both of them because anytime I chose one or the other, I was denying half of me. And I grew up really learning, well, what is it do I think that other people want to hear? That's the answer I will give. I didn't know that I was doing that, but I realized, oh my gosh, I wasn't truly always just sharing, well, this is what I think, or this is my belief. Or I would say, I don't even know. Let me think about it first. I was always rushing to figure out, well, what side am I supposed to pick? And I'll hurry up and pick one. And then ultimately I realized what I needed was to integrate all of it and both sides of me. And then I started to realize it wasn't just the part of me that's black and white. It's also the part of me that's athletic and academic. It's the part of me that becomes very structured and focused, and the part of me that's very whimsical and playful. All of these parts of me and halves of me all needed to be integrated so that the head and the heart could really be in alignment. And that alignment was really where that authentic self-expression came from for me, of understanding what that meant. And then that's where the zebra came in, because being, half black and half white growing up, I was called Oreo and I was called zebra, and they were derogatory. And then I realized, you know what, this little zebra, yay, yes. Thank you, Bonnie. The zebra, it's like it had been with me the whole time and I didn't know. So this is my my logo, because it was really me taking ownership of everything of my life, my story, where I came from, the hardships, the successes, the failures. And so the zebra icon for me was born. And what the zebra really signifies, it's part of the horse family, but a zebra is like, I'm not a horse. I don't want to be a horse. I don't want to race in the Kentucky Derby. I don't want to win a Triple Crown. I don't care. The horse is different, because the zebra spirit, like the meaning of the zebra and really what it means for me. So a zebra, if you really look at them, they don't even have a mane, they have a mohawk. Every zebra, their stripes are completely different from each other, like a set of fingerprints. But most of all, a zebra, you cannot put a saddle on a zebra and ride it. You cannot hook a carriage or a U-Haul of any kind to a zebra, because a zebra is like, I don't think so. I am not going to allow you to ride me, and I'm sure as heck not going to let you hitch your stuff onto me and make me carry it. So for me, that interpretation was other people's obligations, their expectations, their demands, their beliefs, their wants, their desires. No, I am not making decisions in life based on other people's stuff. And so I don't have to carry it. And a zebra is like, I don't want to be domesticated. I kind of want to be my own free spirit. So while the zebra is mine, you have also that same spirit in you, because we all do. And that's what the zebra is about for me. It was like, well, who are we becoming during this time of life in our journey? So this is where I'm showing you your chart looks different from mine, but we all have one, because who are you becoming? Well, all of those middle parts right here, all those dots of chaos and my grandmother in high school, my whole journey to get to this place in the zebra taught me survival, discipline, accepting help, all of these inner skills, all these internal skills that I needed to learn. We all have them, maybe different order, maybe different things, but we all have a journey of things that we need to learn in our lifetime, because that's just the point and why we're here and why we're alive. Because here's what I know for sure today, is that if you are like me, you probably didn't learn how to deal with feelings and emotions growing up. The youngsters today, they're in a different generation. I think they're too much on the extreme on the other side. They don't learn anything. They just talk a lot about them. But our generation, we just didn't learn how to deal with them. You may have learned that feelings were bad or wrong and needed to be eliminated. That's what I had learned. And you may have picked up and learned how to use unhealthy behavior patterns to cope in order to fill the void in your heart, because that's what I did. And it's those behavior patterns that now, until you go back and heal it, will leave you feeling numb or disconnected or lost or even dead inside, because that's what they do. They cover things up. And so we all have this little girl, little boy inside of us. And I love this meme, always goes around at least once a year. And this is one of those pictures of me that I love growing up, because it was like it encapsulated a really happy day and a happy memory. I'm eating watermelon, there's a pogo stick in the back, and it's like it was one of those days. But our little, that our inner child wants us to go back and help reconnect and heal with our inner child, so that we can now in adulthood go to do all the things, like find our dreams and experience them and have them. And I've been where some of you are, if you're feeling numb and dead inside. I was in that space and in that place where life was so dark. I even had thoughts of suicide, thoughts of, I don't know what else to do, so I will end my life. And when that turned for me and I realized, oh my gosh, my purpose, I'm a life doctor and I'm here to offer you a different way. It's a path of emotional freedom. And I'm here to teach you how to feel your feelings and use your emotions to your advantage, because you can. It's fun and it's not necessarily easy, but it's doable. And I'm here to help you break the cycles of those unhealthy behaviors that are keeping you feeling lost or numb. And because what if you no longer felt afraid of those uncomfortable feelings or those situations? What would happen? So I'm here to help you revolutionize the way you experience adversity and transform all of your pain into a purpose, so that you can you can thrive instead of just surviving day to day. And that's where I'm introducing, some of you may have seen this, the Untamed Heart. And the Untamed Heart is about connection, and it's about freedom. It's about looking at your chart. So this is similar chart, but here I put in all of those emotions of feeling lonely and powerless or invisible, and the guilt and the shame and feeling worthless and broken. Freedom comes from knowing how to take all of those emotions, how to understand their meaning, how to use them to know, oh, they're there to teach me to level up in life. Every uncomfortable feeling is saying, hey, look here, you have something to learn, whether it's letting go of control, whether it's not taking things personally, how to negotiate conflict, how to set or uphold boundaries. Every uncomfortable feeling is there telling you it's time to level up. And that's what freedom is going to do for you. And so that's what it's about. It's about, what if you knew how to use your feelings as your guide? And what if you knew how to respond instead of emotionally react in any situation in your life? To react instead of just, it's like to respond instead of just emotionally react. So I'm inviting you to experience more connection with yourself, with others, with life. So if you give me 8 weeks, I will revolutionize the way you experience that emotional freedom. So the Untamed Heart is the 8-week live group immersion program where we do the work of becoming free and untamed. It includes a one-on-one heart-centered private coaching session with me. It's weekly classes and a private community with the group, and a personalized heart activation action plan. So helping you create that same diagram and connecting those dots to help you understand your heart and where you are going. So by the end of the course, you'll have the knowledge of your emotions, how they show up in your body, the insights of really understanding what unhealthy behavior patterns are you getting stuck in, especially the ones that are very subtle. I'll give you the skills and the resources for your plan, and you will no longer feel afraid of things that are uncomfortable. You may not like it, but you won't be afraid of it anymore. And so my gift for you, normally it's $9.97, but for being here and part of this group and attending this workshop, it's $4.97. Classes are going to start the week of Valentine's Day. Of course, it's all about the heart. So I'll be having there's two courses that are running. One is a Sunday option at this time, and another one is a Wednesday night. You can do either one. And so that is what I have for you today. If you can go online, you can call me, you can email me, but the QR code will take you to my website directly and you can book it from there. So that's what I have for the presentation, because I really wanted to make sure to have time to connect with you and answer questions. And it could be anything about health, but I'm really connecting about your understanding of your body, but your emotions. So does anybody want to ask a question about something that may be going on in their life, about emotions that you are feeling, or how it may be showing up in your body? Because I am here for you and I want to answer questions, and I want to hear from you, whether it's a question or comment, or anything you would like to share. I want to hear from you. And you'll have to unmute yourself because I could only see half of you, and I'll let you do it. Anyone? Don't be shy. We're friends.
All right, I'll ask one. I was trying to give someone a chance.
Hi, Bonnie.
It seems like it's hard for me to discern anymore why it happens, but oftentimes I find myself in bed at night where I have my ribs and my chest so tight that it's not rising and falling. It's like it's so tense that I feel like I can't breathe. And I'll clench my teeth, which I've done for longer than I can remember. And sometimes I'll wake up in the middle of the night and have my fists tight as well. But I can't, at times I have really great, comfortable nights of sleep, but a lot of the time I do have that thing with my ribs where I feel like I'm not allowing myself to breathe.
Yeah.
And I can't, it used to be that things would be running through my mind over and over, but I don't know if it's like still there from the past, from things that I used to run through my mind, that even though I'm not thinking of it, it still happens.
So one of the things that I'll bring your attention to is what you feel at night is not only at night. It's there all day. You just may not be aware of it. Because at nighttime, our minds are phenomenal. That whenever we have emotions and things going on during the day, if the mind doesn't feel like it has time to get your attention to solve it, think of your mind like a 3-year-old, a little toddler, and it's trying to get your attention. But if you're busy, the mind goes, you know what, go ahead and do your thing. You go ahead and do whatever you're going to do all day, because it knows that at some point you're going to try to go to sleep and you have nothing else to do. And your mind says, hey, remember me? You ignored me all day. Well, now you have nothing else to do. So now you have to pay attention to me. And so I would encourage you, part of what's happening is that whatever is going on in the day that's causing you to clench, to tighten, you're also not taking deep breaths in and out. You're holding your breath, and there's short, shallow breaths. And so that tightness also happens around the ribs, around the rib cage that controls breathing. So look through the day and start to recognize what is going on in the day that's causing you to clench and tighten up, because that's what needs to be addressed. It doesn't have to be solved. It just has to be acknowledged before bed, so that your mind could say, okay, we'll solve it, and it will let you sleep. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Good. I love your question. Thank you for that. Thank you. Anybody else have a question or share? Like I said, I'm not going to look in the chats because those confuse me while I can't stay focused. So you have to unmute yourself for those of you who are not on camera. Hey, Jenny. Yes.
Hi. So I feel like right now, a place that I'm in for the first time in my life, or again, after going through relationship, marriage, family, it's a child, focusing on everyone else but myself, my career, which wasn't really focusing on myself, but was doing the task. I'm in a place where I'm putting my health first, and I'm doing a number of things to, because I was stuck. I felt like I was dying, and I didn't know what to do. And I was just in a place where I didn't have the energy to even deal with it. And I've completely turned that around, and I'm making amazing progress. But I still get stuck with dealing with uncomfortable situations. Like if I'm at work and I need to, I hate to use the word confront because it sounds so strong, but address a situation, I'm pretty confident in the way I address it. Or if I need to have a discussion with my son, I'm pretty confident in the way we need to have a discussion. But sometimes dealing with people who, for example, where I work now, there's this lady who's very toxic. And I kind of got looped into it for a little bit. I've stepped back and I've realized the gaslighting. I just have never been in that kind of a situation before. But I realized that there's definitely some more work I need to do around that, not recognizing it sooner, not being able to address those situations, like letting it happen without stopping it before you feel like you're a wreck.
Yeah.
And so I am definitely, and I'm going to actually have to log off here in a minute. I'm an hour after you, so I
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
realize.
Okay.
So
All
dinner
right.
and
So let
fun.
me give you some insight. So one of the things that you talk about discerning is being aware of feelings. The more that you connect with feelings, the earlier you recognize the feeling in the body. And so part of how you do that is learning to know that you're just going to have to learn, like feeling uncomfortable is
Okay.
in the discomfort, sitting in it, knowing where you're not going to necessarily get stuck in. And I'm not talking the most uncomfortable with other people. I'm talking about the ones by yourself first.
Yeah.
Learning to feel uncomfortable, to recognize that sensation in the body. Because by the time you feel it, when it's really bad, well, it didn't just show up really bad at once. It showed up in smaller increments much earlier. You just didn't have the training of really the depth of connection in your body to recognize it at the time. Or you may have recognized it, you just didn't understand what it was saying and what the meaning was. And so the more you do the work to understand the emotions that show up in you and understand what they mean, you'll recognize them sooner. So then somebody who's toxic, you'll know them a mile away. You'll be like, that's weird. You may not know who it is. You may not be able to see them, but something in you will be like, there's going to be a toxic person showing up here sometime soon. And somebody will open their mouth and be like, whoa, that's the one. Like you'll feel it. And so you're training your body to feel uncomfortable and just allow it to sit there until it shows you what it's trying to tell you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
It does.
Okay,
Totally.
good. So in case I don't get to see you or say goodbyes, I'm glad that you are here.
I want to connect with you because I'm interested in the Sunday class.
Okay, great. So
Oh,
we will talk and
yeah.
get that set up for you. So
All right.
if you go on my website, you can sign up for it though.
Awesome.
All
Love
right.
you.
Thank you, Jenny. Nice to see you. Okay. Anybody else have a question or comment or something to add or share?
Maybe.
Nobody? I either overwhelmed you emotionally, you're taking it all in, you don't know where to go, you're not sure what to do or say. That's okay. So if there's something that's private, feel free. You guys have my email. I think you even have my phone number. You can call me, you can text me, you can email me. I will answer anything that you have that's private and personal. We can do that too. Okay. I just want to say thank you for being here with me today. Thank you for hearing and listening to my story. And it's great to connect. I am so grateful. Like one of the things about COVID is that it gave me forced me to learn how to do things in the tech world, which I had been fighting all my life because I like being with people. So it gave me the chance to learn technology that allows me to connect. And so I'm so grateful. So thank you so much for being here with me today. So I look forward, and if you have any interest in either of the dates of classes, go ahead and register, and then we'll get it all organized from there. So thank you so much. I will stay on. If anybody wants to stay afterwards, I will stay here. But thank you so much for all of you for being here today. I appreciate you. And I'm grateful to you. Thank you.
I appreciate you too.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you. Thank you, Bonnie. Thank you. I'll stay on if anybody stays. Any question? Hey, Matt.
Have a good one.
Thank you so much.
We'll be in touch.
Absolutely. It's nice to see you again.
Nice to see you. Sorry I was late.
That's okay.
I made it.
Happy
I made
Sunday. Nice to see you. Oh, tank top too. All right. I like it.
It's hot today.
I know. I
Yeah.
know. Thank
It's
you,
good to
Matt.
see you tonight. So enjoy the rest of
Thank
your
you.
Sunday.
Thank you. You too.
Okay.
Anyone else? I see. Oh, Karen, I took you. You're off mute. Everybody's off.
Yeah.
Yay. Okay.
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, great to see you.
You're in a
Hi.
jacket up there in Washington. Is it cold?
I am. Well, actually, today's not that cold, but
Okay.
compared to you guys, probably.
Yeah, we're having a heat wave.
Mhm.
It's like 77 here.
Oh, yeah. No, I wish I was 77
Yeah.
and 77.
Oh,
Yeah.
Thank you for
Yeah,
joining
I'll be
me.
in touch.
Absolutely.
Okay. All
Nice to
right. Talk
see
to you
you.
later.
All right.
Great to see you.
Thank you,
Okay.
Karen. Okay, bye.
Okay.
Hey, Natasha, can you hear me?
Hi.
This is Stephanie. I just,
Oh, hi, Stephanie. Yes, I can hear you. I don't see you, but I can hear you.
I can't seem to turn my video on for some reason, but
That's okay. I can hear you very clear, so totally good.
okay. That was awesome. That was a great class. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm so glad that you were here with me. I miss you. I miss seeing you. But I'm glad that we're here connected. Thank you.
I miss you too. Yeah, we'll have to figure out a time to meet up again.
We will. We will.
All right.
Thank
Thanks
you,
so
honey.
much. Have a great
Thank
day.
you. All right. Bye.
Bye.
Hi, KJ.
Love this. Love learning from you and more about your background.
Thank
So
you.
cool.
I know it's funny how
So
we play
cool.
volleyball with somebody. It's like we know
Yeah.
volleyball and then that's it. And then there's
Mhm.
like a whole other, part to
Yes.
people in their life. So I'm so glad that you were here. Thank you for being here and attending and listening.
Yeah.
I appreciate
Yeah.
that.
Love that. So cool. So
Thank you.
cool.
Thank you. So we'll be in touch about anything. If you have
Yeah.
any questions or anything too. Okay.
Love it. Yeah. See you around soon.
Okay. Thanks, KJ.
Bye.
Bye. All right. Anybody else? Oh, LV, if you want to say anything, it's just you and I right now. Anything you want to add? No? Okay. Well, I am so glad that you were here. I'm sorry I don't get to talk with you, but I appreciate the love and support that you always have. So it's nice to know that you're here, and we will talk soon. Okay. Bye.